Welcome to our video. I'm Evelyn Storrs.
I'm Leo Berry.
And I'm Mia Yamashita.
In this video, we are going to be talking about climate change and how it affects our mental health.
We are here to bring awareness to the change that is going on all around us every day and the effects it has on us. The question is, how many people realize it?
Cue the music!
Music!
To get a better understanding of our issue, first we need to look at the data. Many people have begun to notice the change in our environment, the rising temperatures, the blazing wildfires, and more. So what do they think of it? How does it affect them? Well, according to the American Psychiatric Association, climate change not only affects us physically, but mentally as well. Higher temperatures and changing climates have the ability to increase risk of stroke and dementia. The nutrients in our food are changing as well in response to our changing environment, which can cause illness such as encephalitis, which is the swelling of the brain. In addition to the physical ailments that come with climate change, there are mental effects as well. Climate change has forced millions out of their homes and thousands to have lost their jobs to global warming. Climate change can also affect the amount of resources a certain area has, which can harm communities. Now, for some, extreme stress might not seem like enough to encourage global attention. However, if we look at the sheer number of people feeling this way, it is hard to deny that this is a serious problem in need of addressing. For example, many people directly exposed to natural disasters can have lingering trauma or PTSD. According to the Commonwealth Fund, people who directly experience natural disasters such as the Camp Fire, the largest wildfire in California history, and Hurricane Katrina, one of the deadliest hurricanes in U.S. history, are more likely to experience PTSD or depression. In fact, over 60% of people exposed to the Camp Fire said that they experienced trauma and depression.
And it's not just people who have directly experienced natural disasters either. A study by the American Psychiatric Association reported that almost 2/3 of adults in the United States said that they felt anxious about climate change. In addition to this, the rising heat is contributing to higher suicide rates. The higher the temperature, the more susceptible humans are to anger and depression, which can lead to suicide and violence.
I interviewed one of my mom's friends who is living in Rhode Island over text, and I asked her how much climate change affected her life and mental health. This is what she said. Hmm. How much has climate change affected my life or mental health? That's a really hard question to answer because I don't know what my mental health or life would look like without this reality, right? But on one hand, I think people have a mental block against thinking about the enormity of it, unless they live in an area that's really plagued by constant storms, fires, or shortages. And that's related to those things if we're being really real. On the other hand, it's impossible to accept the fact that that's what's happening. Well, some people ignore it, I guess, but that wouldn't be possible for me. On the other hand, I try to do projects that confront those problems in ways that actually make me feel like I'm doing something positive. I've done a lot of work for a farm in Puerto Rico, for instance, where they support their local community through hurricanes by working crops in the land in ways that are sustainable even if hurricanes happen more often now. This is a response to our third question. How have you seen the world change due to climate change? There's a lot of things that I don't know about the multiple effects of climate change, so I guess I'll end with this. I have friends that work in marine science and they're stressed. There's like a whole new field of counseling growing around people who do environmental science because they see so much profound and alarming change. That should tell us something, right?
As our world is changing, so is our behavior, and in recent years, psychologists have been diagnosing people with climate anxiety. What is climate anxiety exactly? In the words of Yale researcher Sarah Lowe, climate anxiety is fundamentally distress about climate change and its impacts on the landscape and human existence. This feeling can emerge suddenly, sometimes when you're not expecting it, and can be triggered by news about natural disasters. It might just be anxiety, pounding heart rate, or declining efficiency in work or just in general. If you or anyone you know is feeling this way, they can talk to anyone, including therapists or a trusted adult. Also, according to Anthony Leiserowitz, the founding director of Climate Change Communication Program at Yale, 64% of Americans in our last national study said they were at least somewhat worried about global warming. And the thing is, the number is only going to keep rising. Albert Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." In the coming years, this idea is as important as ever. We as humans need to realize that we are not only hurting this planet, but hurting ourselves in the process. And if we continue on this path, our future won't be pretty. Next up is an interview from Korematsu's very own Miss Schmidt.
Has affected your perspective on life?
Wow. I mean, that is something that sometimes feels like too big of a problem for me to kind of think about every day. But I mean, just as someone who's lived in the Bay Area my entire life, right? I grew up in Concord. I live like 45 minutes away from where I grew up. I mean, I've just really noticed it gets hotter, it gets colder, like kind of weather patterns that I were used to just fluctuate a lot more. And so, I mean, it definitely makes me feel like we just live in an unpredictable world, right? When I think about, if I want to be a parent someday, it's something I think about a lot as well. Because I feel like, mental health is made up of so many different things, right? But I mean, definitely, I definitely feel happier in the summer and like more kind of sad in the winter. So I know that like just those kind of general fluctuations. And I mean, as things get more intense, I can see how that might impact my mental health. But I'm definitely going to think about it more moving forward.
Awesome. How have you seen the world change due to climate change?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that, but I mean, one big thing I remember a couple years ago when we had those fires and we had to shut school down, like that was just something that was wild to me because I grew up 25 minutes away. That never happened, right? Some of the rains that have happened as well. I mean, it really just kind of, it's just so much more unpredictable. So I've definitely seen a huge impact and I have seen a huge impact in a lot of different ways.
Climate change has started since the discovery of the greenhouse effect, the Industrial Revolution, and the rise of fossil emissions. Throughout history, scientists have researched that due to greenhouse effects during the 19th century, a French mathematician and physicist, Joseph Fourier, discovered that the gases of the Earth's atmosphere trap heat, leading to a warmer planet. Some causes of climate change include generating power, manufacturing goods, cutting down forests, using transportation, producing food, and powering buildings. Due to these things happening, there can be more air pollution. This is because when people are cutting down trees, the oxygen amount that we get keeps getting smaller. When we are producing food, it is not only affecting us by the gases coming into the air, but also animals. This is because animals like sheep and cows produce methane, a potent greenhouse gas that goes through their digestive process. Even though climate change can affect people that are living in homes, it can also affect farmers and people that are growing food. Because in the article by the National Library of Medicine, it says, association has been found between crop failure and due to unexpected droughts and suicide attempts in the farmers. Also, not being able to sustain the expenses of a family may lead to someone to become a victim of the debt trap to meet the expenses. A relationship has been found between the occurrence of drought and farmer suicides because such a trend has not only been found in countries like Australia, but also in developing the country like India. Droughts are also often associated with prolonged exposure to warm, dry seasons. It seems likely due to extensive research that exposure to heat can lead to increased rates of suicide attempts. This shows that due to climate change, the heat can lead to suicide attempts from farmers because of the debt that they have and not being able to pay for the expenses. The land and ocean temperatures have increased at a rate of 0.11 degrees Fahrenheit per decade since 1850. Since 1982, the rate has gone 3 times faster at a rate of 0.36 degrees per decade. In the next few years, climate change will projectingly bring more frequent and extreme weather events like rising sea levels, shifts in the ecosystems, and human health. These things are going to happen because humans have caused these problems to happen, even though we might not think it to be true. This is because of the rising greenhouse gas emissions, which inevitably are going to lead to warmer temperatures, melting ice, and ocean expansion. To not make these things happen later on, we need to reduce the amount of greenhouses that we make, and we need to start using renewable energy, improving energy, and to start using natural-based solutions.
The reason why we chose to do this topic is because we want people to understand climate change and what it is doing to us. People don't understand how it affects us either.
We want people to be aware of the dangers of climate change and people's thoughts about it so that people can start taking action.
We hope you enjoyed our video. Now it's time to set our world right.
A special thanks to the people we interviewed.
Katie from Rhode Island.
And Allison Schmidt from Korematsu Middle School.
A big thank you as well to National Geographic and DJI Captures for film content displayed in this video.